we are going to be talking about a problem-solving strategy called the 3 reads. The 3 reads focuses on reading the problem 3 times and finding different information each time so that students can have a better understanding of what the problem is asking for and what they need to do in order to solve it. So we're going to do our first read, which is where we read the problem and then we visualize what's happening in the problem. So we're just looking for the who and the what. We're not trying to solve right now, we're just trying to gain an understanding. So it says a baker is making cakes. The recipe says they need 3 cups of flour for each batch. They have 4 bags of flour and each bag has 5 cups of flour. What is the greatest number of cakes the baker can make? So what I've learned in this first read is that our who is the baker. And what. So what they are doing is they're baking cakes. Now that's all I need to do for my first read. I'm going to go back to my problem and read it a second time, and this time I'm going to look for the numbers that are in the problem and what they mean. So a baker is making cakes. The recipe says they need 3 cups of flour for each batch. They have 4 bags of flour and each bag has 5 cups of flour. What is the greatest number of cakes the baker can make? So some numbers that I see in this problem, I see 3 is my first one, but it's not just a 3. It's 3 cups of flour per batch. Then I also see that there is a 4, which represents how many bags of flour they have. And now I see that there is a 5, and that represents 5 cups of flour in each bag. So now at this point, I know who the problem's about, what they're doing, and I know the numbers that are in the problem and what they represent. A student who just reads the problem once might see 3 and 4 here, and they may just use those numbers for their problem. They won't use all the parts that are in the problem. So that's why we focus on, in the second read, looking at those numbers and what they represent, so that we use them appropriately. Now I'm going to make an answer statement, which is the second part of the second read. So that's where I look at the question that is in our problem and I write out an answer statement, which is basically where I write a sentence that would hold my answer in it. So what is the greatest number of cakes the baker can make? I'm going to say the greatest number of cakes the baker can make is blank. So that way, when I'm finished, I can take whatever my answer is and I can put it here to make sure that it makes sense for my problem. Now I'm going to go back to my problem and I'm going to read through it one final time in order to put together my plan for how I'm going to solve the problem. So a baker is making cakes. The recipe says they need 3 cups of flour for each batch. They have 4 bags of flour and each bag has 5 cups of flour. What is the greatest number of cakes the baker can make? So in order to figure this out, I think I need to figure out what the total number of cups of flour is that we have. So for step 1, I'm going to figure out what my problem needs to be in order to find the total cups of flour. So looking at my numbers here, I have 3 cups of flour per batch. That's not going to help me figure out the total, so I'm going to disregard that one for right now. Let's look at the next one. We have 4 bags of flour. Okay, And then we have 5 cups of flour per bag. All right, so looking at these two, I can say that in order to find the total cups of flour, I'm going to multiply the number of bags that I have by the cups of flour that are in each bag. And this will tell me my total cups, or TC. After I find my total cups, I'm going to do step 2. So in order to solve the rest of my problem, I'm going to take my total cups and I'm going to divide it by the number of cups that it takes per batch. So I'm going to take my total cups and divide it by 3. And this will tell me how many cakes our baker can make. Now that I have my plan and I've used all of the numbers that I found, I'm going to solve each step. So for step 1, I know that 4 times 5 is equal to 20. So the total number of cups that I have is 20 cups. Now I'm going to use that 20 that I found in step 1 in step 2. So 20 divided by 3. And 20 divided by 3 gives me 6 with a remainder of 2. And now I'm going to look at my answer and see how I can fit it into my answer statement. So I know that I have 6 holes here and I have a leftover of 2. So if I want to figure out the greatest number of cakes the baker can make, I know that he can make 6. So the greatest number of cakes the baker can make is 6 total cakes. And that is how we use our 3-read strategy. And that has been Math Corner with Miss Perry. I hope that I have been of some assistance, and I hope that you reach out if you do need more help. See you later.